initiation of the sacred feminine through the shadow. Yes, welcome. Yeah, I go live every Tuesday, sometimes Tuesdays and Sundays, but every Tuesday. So, I'm glad to have you all here. So today we'll be talking about shadow work pretty much. So y'all can ask any questions you want about shadow work and doing deeper shadow work. We all know shadow work is, going the same time. I either go 7 p.m. or 7:15. Between 7 p.m. and 7:15 is when I typically go live. Now, Sundays, it's a little bit earlier. Sundays, I do it about 3 p.m., 3:30, but every Tuesday it's around 7 p.m. to 7:15, sometimes 7:30, but I try not to make it too late. So yeah, so we're going to talk about that. Y'all are free to ask your deeper questions about shadow work and stuff like that, because this is a freebie that I'm offering. Anyone can join. You don't have to be on Patreon. You don't have to do any of that. You can just kind of join this, and then make sure you have your journals ready. I wanted to start a month ahead of time, so that way you can start to go ahead and pretty much think about the things that you want to work on, so you'll get a jump start by the time January comes. So 2026 is going to be a very interesting year. So it's going to be very important for us all to dive deep into the shadow, our own shadow, dive deep and do the work. So this is going to be a more in-depth 7-day challenge. And these are the topics for each day. Every day it'll be a new video, a new release. You go to the website and you'll be able to enter. You can't go until, each day is a new prompt. Each day is a new topic and something else to focus on. And so they're unlocked each of the 7 days. So right now you sign up, you can't see anything. It'll say this will be available on January 4th, because that's when it'll start. So I'm gonna go through a little bit about what we'll be talking about each day. It's a bit of a description on my website, but I'll go in a little bit deeper for now. Is it 7 days straight or 7 days straight? So Tuesdays is just my lives here on TikTok, but the challenge itself is a consecutive 7 days. It's from January 4th is the first day, which is on a Sunday. So I suggest you can do it. It's self-paced in terms of the day, but you do have to be present each day, just so you can watch the videos, read the content, and then know what you want to do. So I suggest maybe reading it first thing in the morning and then give yourself time to think about it. It depends on you, right? Read your situation, how you normally do things. If you are a more nighttime individual, then you can, of course, do it all at night, but each day is 7 consecutive days where each day a new, essentially, challenge will be unlocked for you to focus on. And these are, so day 1 would be January 4th. So for an example, day 1 is your hidden self. So this is the very beginning of starting to unmask the things about yourself that you want to work on, the things about yourself that you think you need to work on, right? Because the point of shadow work is to go into the deep darkness of yourself to eventually operate in wholeness. So that jump into day 7, the final day, is integration and commitment. This is a lifelong journey. It's not something that's going to happen in these 7 days, but it'll give you a jumping off point, and then you can use these prompts throughout whatever, whatever course of time, to continue to dive deeper. You will never fully learn about yourself. It's so much to learn. So you can take this sort of format and use it for yourself. So I'm gonna go through what we talk about each day. If y'all have any particular questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. If I miss it, ask it again. And I'll scroll back through. Sometimes TikTok is weird about pushing it to the bottom, so I don't want to miss any of your questions. So if I miss it, just put it back in there. Okay, let me go to my site because I have a little description. So I'm gonna read what each one is, so that should help a little bit. All right, so Hold on, I just saw a question. Hold on. When did you say this starts? January 4th. So you can go ahead and sign up. That way you can be on the, get the emails and stuff like that. And then like put it in your calendar, and then you should get email updates and stuff of when it starts. So that way you'll have time to kind of think about what it is you want to focus on. So you're not everything, like if I started it today when I'm just talking about it today, you won't have as much prevalence. So it's a good month away. So that way you can start thinking, stuff will start to come up just by you even being introduced to this, whether you signed up or not. Stuff will start to come up, because a lot of the time things that we think are a problem, you may find out is not a problem. So you're going to dive deep into that to kind of learn yourself. And that's the whole point of that. And once you start to learn yourself, you pretty much will learn everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. So day one, it'll start on a Sunday. So day one is meeting your hidden self. So this is the begin of the descent into the shadow by gently uncovering the parts of yourself that have been hidden or suppressed. So these are the things. This is why it's important to go ahead and start thinking about this particular day one, because this is the foundation for the rest of the days. So you got a good month to, think about the things that everything you can think of. And as time go on, as you start to do this sort of work, more and more things will come up. So day one will be meeting your hidden self. So that is the introduction to things about yourself, whether that's conditioning, things you don't like about yourself, whether it's because if something personal, nobody knows, something you never share with anyone, or certain things, societal conditions and norms that you have been conditioned to believe. Like you may not know it's conditioning right now, but all of the things that you've been side-eyeing or questioning, those are the things the things that are repressed, the things that are hidden. This is not something that will happen in 7 days. This is not something that will happen in a year. 7 years from now, you'll still be learning about yourself and as you grow. But this will definitely be a jumping point to be the catalyst so you can hit the ground running and kind of create a format for yourself for when you need to dive into the shadow of yourself, which is the shadow of other people too. So day one is about simply bringing up certain things. I ain't going to go through too many of the prompts because I want y'all to be surprised. I want you to, you to be thinking about all the different things, and then things will come up. You'll find as you get more into it and as you have prompts and stuff that I'm providing for you to think about, and things that you may not ever have thought about, things you may not have known you suppressed or repressed. And that comes from everything. We do it to ourselves. It starts with other people doing it to us. Things that we often in this society have been deemed as bad. It may not be bad. You may learn things about yourself that you tried to hide, that you try to mask, that may actually be a pivotal part of your journey in life, of your character as a human, that is necessary. Like, for an example, for me, one of the things that I found about myself that I would repress around people is my intuitive abilities, right? Being afraid to say what I see because I was afraid, not now, but because I was afraid of not necessarily, I don't know if I would be comfortable call it people pleasing, but just not, I'm an empathetic person. So I do care about how I come across to people and how I make people feel. So often when you are a person who sees the truth and who sees things for what they are, especially dark things, you don't want to ruin stuff, but that's a gift. And at one point I didn't realize it was a gift. I thought it was me being negative. I thought it was me being pessimistic. I used to call myself pessimistic all the time. And I actually embrace being pessimistic. just because I have a level of comfort with myself always, but I knew that it was frowned upon to be the negative Nancy, right? I didn't want to be the party pooper. So I didn't want to say everything that I saw because I didn't want to ruin other people's time, because the fact of the matter is other people can't always handle the things that you may be able to handle and vice versa. So meeting the parts of yourself that you repress. Now, there is no, keep in mind, there is no such thing as good and bad. Good and bad is on a spectrum. Let's assume that you're not, a psychopath and you use that as an excuse to do something you wanted to do anyway. This is for educational purposes, to educate yourself about yourself. But things that have often been, for one reason or another, stuffed into a lockbox behind lock and key. So that's going to be day one, is kind of sort of start to shoveling into yourself and the things that you have hidden. There's a lot of aspects about all of us, just as being women, that we have been conditioned out of, like, second guessing ourselves, right? Like when we read a room, when we see something is afoot, when we've been conditioned to not listen to that for a reason. You don't make good prey when you're intuitively tapped in. So a lot of things that may come up. Now, it may be other things that come up for you, only you. This is a private, nothing is shared. No one sees what's in your journal. No one hears what's in your thoughts but you. So it's no need, don't shy away from the things that come up for you. I don't care how dark you think it is. I don't care how light you think it is. Whatever it is, write it down. If you don't want to write it down, think about whatever your method is, but a journal will definitely be necessary for this. So, because sometimes writing things out really helps. Let me read some of the comments and stuff before I move on to day two. Hold on, if there is any. I think I answered that. If it's 7 days straight. Maybe I'm excited for this. Thank you. Yes, I'm excited too, just to kind of see what people learn about themselves. You don't have to tell me again. You don't have to tell anyone. So it's nothing to hide. Can't nobody see you. Don't nobody know what you're writing. Don't nobody know what you're thinking. Plus, a part of shadow work is dismantling shame and guilt. I finally made it to your live. Well, thank you, Jashar. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm glad you're here. So let's move on to day two. I didn't see any questions. So let's move on to day two. So that's day one. Day one is meeting your hidden self, which is the beginning of unmasking, revealing yourself to yourself. So day two is desire, temptation, and personal truth. So this is a bit of a deeper analysis into the things that you bring up about yourself. So the idea behind this is to confront your desires and temptations. And then temptations mean many things, right? Temptations doesn't always mean, something sexualized or, intimacy, romance in those ways. Temptation, it covers a lot of things. So it could be a temptation to people please, right? It could be a temptation to fit in the crowd. Temptation, means a lot of things. Personal truth. So the things that you dig up, you then have to sort of dissect. And sometimes, this take time. It helps to write it down, because guess what? You get to go back and see where you started. And as time go on, you are bringing these things into your conscious. They're no longer, you're pulling them out of your subconscious and bringing them to the conscious. So that means that now they are more prevalent. So they will be more in your day to day. So more things are going to come up for you as you start engaging with people, interacting with people, doing work, thinking, just doing everyday stuff. These things that you gently pull out of your subconscious will start to show themselves in real life. And then you can dissect it more and more and more in order to know how to navigate all of these things and come to terms with your personal truths, good and bad. One of my personal truths that I had to come to terms with is that I'm empathetic. I always knew I had empathy, but I never was comfortable with acknowledging or coming to terms with the possibility of being an empath. Now, part of that was because I'm a naturally go against the crowd kind of person, and everybody was talking about being empaths. Everybody is an empath. Everybody is an empath. But I had to learn what an actual empath was. So for me, coming to terms with the facts that I am an empath, because I've always been guarded, my subconscious was there. That shadow was there guarding me. So I didn't know what to do with those feelings at one point in time. So I had to acknowledge the fact that you feel shit that you would probably rather not feel. And as long as I did not admit that to myself, the feelings didn't go away. I just now know what to do with them. So this isn't about just all a series of bad things. We're looking for all the bad things. No, it's everything. I didn't want, because I operate in duality and always have. So there was a part of me who was extremely empathic, who felt everything people felt, who took on people's problems, who tried to solve everybody's problems. And then there was a part of me that, because my empathy allowed me to see things for what they were in the truth. So I had to navigate also being overly protective of myself and shutting down and distancing myself from people. So I had to create, and that's something I'm still navigating, because you always have to, keep yourself in balance. The idea is behind shadow work is not to make yourself change. It's to learn to flow within who you truly are, your personal truth, whatever that is. You don't have to explain your personal truth to everyone, to anyone. The only person that you have to explain that to is you. And shadow work is giving you permission to not even have to explain that. So that's coming to terms with everything. That same empathy, we all operate in duality. So my extreme capacity for kindness and empathy I also have the opposite, the extreme capacity to fucking hate people. And like, you have to get me there, right? I don't have people that I hate because I just don't care enough to do that. But knowing that I have an extreme capacity for kindness and love and giving, I have the opposite extreme to completely withdraw and shut down. Can you explain more on desire and temptation? Yes. So desire is something I talk about often. And the idea behind confronting like desire, temptation, and things like that is to get underneath the truth behind them. So desire is all the things that you want. Desire can be anything from you wanting to be partnered, from you wanting to be wealthy, from you wanting love, from you wanting anything. Desire is the things that you want, which is something else a lot of us have been conditioned. A lot of us don't realize that our desires are not really ours. A lot of us, at one point, I desire, and I like to use myself as an example, because that's the best example the best way I can explain it is through my own journey. So I do this because I know it works. I do this because I've done it. And I don't talk about things that I don't know. So I will quickly say, I don't know if I don't know. So your desires are everything that you want, and you have to learn to sift through the things that you truly want and the things that you don't want, the things that you have been conditioned to believe you want it, right? So for an example, for me, I'm a child-free person. I hate relationships. But I spent my early 20s, because I grew up religious, because I grew up in the world, right? You don't even have to be religious. All women are conditioned in this realm to want to be married and to want to have kids, to only listen to their biology. as I was doing shadow work years ago, I started to think about a good way to get to your true desires, your true personal truths, and things like that is to go back to what you liked as a child. I remember sitting in my parents' car because all I wanted was freedom to be able to go and come as I please, to self-sustain. This is what I envisioned as a child, as a teenager. I would sit before I had my license. I would sit in my parents' car in the driver's seat, and I would literally, I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was manifesting the exact life that I have now. And it took years before I realized this is the life that you actually wanted as a kid, rather than the loud hum of what society said we supposed to have, which was putting effort into dating, putting effort into wanting to be a parent, doing all of those things that I didn't really want to do. So I had to go back to what my heart's desire was before I was programmed. So for me, that was envisioning traveling. That was envisioning live. It was very simple. Envisioning me having my own apartment, having my own car, going and coming as I please, being free. That was what I was envisioning. I wasn't envisioning a picket fence and babies and a husband as a kid. In the 90s, I wanted to be all the penthouse executive women. That's what I wanted to be in the 90s. All of the movies, I didn't care whether they were black women, white women. One of my favorite movies was Curly Sue. Y'all seen Curly Sue? Y'all probably too young. The woman who basically adopted Curly Sue, Boomerang. What's the character in Boomerang who was the executive? Was she Eddie Murphy's boss? What's her name? I was just talking about her today. Those characters in the 90s, that is what my dreams were. My dreams wasn't to be somebody's mama, but after years of being conditioning, I was dating and looking for things that I wanted, right? So that is, your desires are the things that you truly, truly want. And you have to sift through the surface layers of the things that you want. Now, you may genuinely want to be a mom. You may genuinely want to be a wife. You may genuinely want certain things, and some people are built for that, but you have to sift through it all in order to realize if that is, what you want. Now, in terms of temptation, I'm going to see how to explain this in a way that's more kind of feasible in the nature of shadow work. And if you don't kind of get it, ask more questions. So temptation and desire is very simple. But temptation is similar. I'm sorry, not simple. Similar. Temptation and desire is similar, but temptation is more so the subconscious acts that you are more prevalent to, that you will lean more towards in an effort to get your desires, whether those are your true desires or things that you don't actually, desire. Temptation is often, we see it as a bad thing. We see it as a negative thing, as in like an enticement to do something. And sometimes it can be, right? But the idea is to understand what you are tempted to do, so that at the very least, if you decide to do it, because again, this is good and bad as a spectrum. It's not based in religious morality here. So I don't say anything is good or bad. Everything has an asterisk. So temptation is when you're apt to be enticed to do a particular thing. So when you come to terms with the things that you are tempted to do, with your temptations, like if something, the Bible, speaking of the devil, says nothing will catch you that's not common to you. So your temptation a lot of time is based off who you are, your character traits, your desires, and your willingness, what you will and will not do in order to get them, to get the things that you want. So when you understand the triggers of your temptation, what your temptations are, you can either indulge it or you know when not to indulge it. And you can kind of navigate through the flow of that, if that makes sense. Ooh, this says the Latin meaning of the word temptation means to taste. And I don't particularly believe that that is a bad thing. Being tempted is not a bad thing, because sometimes temptation is absolutely necessary for growth, right? So let's say you desire, because we've all done this, right? We not gonna lie, we all done this. You break up with an ex, you kind of want a little something, and something happens. Maybe you have one too many shots, maybe you have one too many cocktails, and then that brings up certain things that you already want. It's not that you actually want that ex, it's that you, whatever that is that you want, you're being tempted by your desires. So, which again is not necessarily a bad thing, but when you know what those things are, it'll help you navigate it and put it into perspective. So if you do decide to get a taste of whatever it is, you can be tempted in many ways. You could be, let's say you're climbing the corporate ladder and you have an opportunity to undercut somebody, right? To undercut one of your coworkers, to do something shady. Your desire to climb the corporate ladder, your desire to be the best, will be tempted by some scenario that comes up where this may get me to a level that I want, but should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? Should I not do it again? And only you can say whether you should or shouldn't do it. So when you know what those things are, you can at least decide. A lot of us operate, because we don't do shadow work, we operate in our subconscious. We asleep at the wheel. So we're not aware of the things that we're doing and why we're doing it. And you want to be aware. So at least if you do it, you can, and consequences follow, you're not surprised and you can pivot. Let me read, because I want to make sure before I move on that I answered that. What makes something a temptation? What makes something, Robin Givens. Yes. Robin Givens. What makes something a temptation? I would say what will make something a temptation is if it's something that you feel like is questionable, or something that you should be second guessing if you do it, or something that you outright shouldn't do, but you desire, you want to, you'll benefit from it. Which again, I'm going to say this is all the time, is not necessary, is neither good or bad. It just is. Depending on what it is, assuming that you're not harming another person. Your willingness to want to do something that you may or may not, should or should not choose to do. But again, that can be based off societal norms. That could be based off, I'm a ghoster. I could be tempted to ghost somebody the minute they do something that I don't like, even though we had a conversation about them specifically, wanting an explanation. Now, I don't think that I would be wrong if I did it anyway, right? Because again, certain things I don't think is right or wrong. They are, and because they simply are, I get to choose. But If that's my go-to habit, if that's something that's comfortable and natural for me, if that's something that I want to do, I could be tempted to do that. I could lean towards doing that, even though I feel like it would be detrimental to the other person. Um, so is temptation seen as a measure of character? No. I would say no, because, and it depends on what you mean by that. Because in my reality, there's not really a such thing as good or bad. Things just are. You just are. If you like intercourse, for an example, because this is very easy for everybody to understand. If you like intercourse, for an example, and you meet someone, I don't think it's anything wrong with that. What you're tempted to do. What's wrong, in my opinion, would be you not being safe. Everything is subjective, because that's my opinion. So it depends on, where you're coming from. Because the only person who you should care about your character is you. What other people think your character is doesn't matter. So it's up to you to determine if a temptation makes your character good or bad. And that may change as time go on. Because the only person who should be measuring your character is you. The only person who should be, because other people need to be calculating their own character. And a lot of the time, we focus on what other people are doing in an effort to not focus on ourselves. And of course, if you have people in your life, you have to make judgments, you have to make assessments, you have to judge people's character, but understanding that that's your belief system. That's that is what's true in your reality. And the same thing applies to them. That way, you don't feel guilt, you don't feel shame, you don't feel the need to try to defend yourself. Now, that being said, your temptation will absolutely tell you about yourself. Just don't judge yourself based off of whatever comes up. That's what I would say in terms of the realm of shadow work specifically. Let's see. I'm so annoyed. Do y'all see the AI comments that's like summing up what I'm saying? It's so creepy. Okay, so let me make sure, then I'll move on to day 3. Any questions about day 2? Desire, temptation, personal truth. Yeah, like it's this AI, like it's like summing up what I'm saying. It's so weird. Okay. So I'll move on to day 2. If you do have any other questions, something else, just ask. I'll answer before I go. Okay, so day 3 is accepting uncomfortable emotions. Okay. So as you're bringing things up, everything comes up. So, and there'll be a lot of emotions tied. There can be a lot of emotions, good or bad, tied to the things that come up for you, tied to your desires, tied to the things that you suppressed and repressed. A lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of, I'll go back through all of them, a brief summary again later, before I go. But you're gonna feel a lot of things. If you're doing it correctly, you're gonna feel a lot of things, because you don't really realize how much of yourself you hid, lost, gave up, suppressed. You may feel all sorts of feelings. Shame and guilt may come up at first. But once you start digging something up and you let it air out, those things should eventually go away. Shame and guilt will eventually go away around it. So always remember to be patient with yourself. And accept whatever emotions you have about it. Because sometimes it's shocking, like the example I gave earlier. I was a little disappointed in the fact that I was more empathetic than I would like to be, than I was comfortable with. Because of the duality that I exist in, I know exactly, the realm that I'm in. And I was a little angry. I was a little disappointed at the fact that I felt so much, which is an odd reaction, in my opinion. It was an odd reaction to being kind, something we are conditioned to believe is good. Except there's a such thing as toxic light. So once I was able to dig all of that up, I realized that empathy is a gift. Empathy is what allowed me to read other people's energy. Empathy is what allows me to tap into other people's energetic field. And if I want to, I can easily manipulate other people's energy because of empathy. So a lot of emotions will come up for you that may shock you, that may surprise you, that may anger you. A big emotion that comes up will be anger, because what better emotion is there when you realize how much you've been lied to, how much not only you suppressed, other people, the world, society, your parents, everyone around you condition you to suppress, to give up yourself. That shit will make you mad. It will make you feel ashamed for having given it up. Be patient. Give yourself grace, of course, because it's happened to us all. And sit with it. A big thing in shadow work, dealing with emotions, is learning to sit in it and observe it, almost like a third party, but balancing that, because you also want to sit in it to feel it. So you'll learn when to sit in it and feel it, and when to observe it, remove yourself and observe the situation, the trigger, what triggered you, and then the emotion that it triggered. So when you are observing it, you remove the emotional tie, but you recognize the emotional tie. Because then once you remove your emotional attachment, you can decipher through it. You can start to create maneuvers through whatever it is you're feeling. But give yourself permission to feel it. Give yourself permission to cry. Give yourself permission to scream. Do what you got to do. Nobody's watching. Nobody is seeing you. And even if they are, who cares? You are doing work that 99% of people dare not do. So they won't understand. And it's not for them to understand. Learn to sit with and accept those emotions. Let yourself feel it. Some people may watch my content and they think when you talk about dark goddess, when you talk about dark feminine, that they think you're evil. They think you all that, which of course that's by design. But I may not like relationships. I may not like, ever want to be in a marriage and things like, but I have never felt love, been in the frequency of love to the capacity that I do now. I just choose it. It's not all consuming, but I've never experienced it in the way I have the ability to experience it now. So it's operating in wholeness. That is the purpose of shadow work. It's not to be comfortable with being a bad person. It's not to be comfortable with being a good person. It's to understand that you are all things and you get to choose when and how you operate. That is sovereignty. And that is the goal. and you integrate that in every fabric of life. And it works. You allow those emotions to be insight for you, right? Insight into who you are, insight to your desires, insight to what you want, to who you are. Emotions are the things that help you manifest and create your reality. Emotions are tied to literally everything. And most of the potent emotions, when you start to do shadow work, when you know when to sit in it and when to separate yourself from it, that is how you learn to transmute. I don't like to use the word control, because the idea is not to control your emotions. The idea is to transmute them or just exist in them. You get to choose. You get to decide. So learning to accept any and everything that comes up for you today. But what is the day one? What is your hidden self? Your hidden self is all of the things that you have repressed. Like, it's the beginning step of uncovering repressed and suppressed things about you, about yourself, about your beliefs, about your desires, all of those things. So that is the first step of starting to dig up those things. Let me, yes, because it goes back to good and bad. So it's temptation. Okay. So if y'all have any questions about what is this, day 3, accepting uncomfortable emotions, you can ask those. Okay. So day 4 is claiming personal power. So this is where you really start to introduce yourself to transmuting, using those emotions in order to, well, I would say that would be day 5. So day 4 is claiming your personal power. So realizing that all of those things is what make you powerful. The very things that you once thought were bad, that you once were conditioned into believing you should feel shame and guilt about, are sources of power that you can transmute and use to fuel your reality in any and every way. Will there be a discussion at the end of each day? Yes. So basically it's a series. It's not a discussion per se. I was thinking about doing that, but not necessarily, because I guess y'all can let me know how you feel, right? Because this is a journey into yourself. And I want you to get comfortable with being yourself. Like, you're the only one who knows what you're writing. You're the only one who knows what you're thinking. I do think that I plan to talk about, maybe make a video. I'm not going to go live every 7 days, because it's exclusive. It's not exclusive, but it's exclusive. So I'm going to make a video every day. And if y'all want to share, what is coming up for you for that specific day. So it's already formatted and everything. So each day I'll probably make a video based on today's topic. And then y'all are welcome to chat about it in the comment section. Of course, what you feel like sharing, but ideally this is for you. This is private for you. So definitely keep the private stuff private. But yeah, so I'll be on the lookout for comments in each video that I make that day. And I'm gonna be, vigilant about only making videos those days per se for this challenge. So yes, so that way, if there is something specific that you want to kind of discuss or ask, you can do that. But it's really an internal journey. So there's guides and stuff and videos within the challenge that you'll see each day. But yeah, you can put that in the comments under the video each day that I talk about it, and post the video on TikTok. And that way I can, see some of the things that y'all are talking about within that. But it won't be like a whole separate thing. January 4th. So I'm introducing, of course, I'm introducing it now so that you have time to start letting things come up. Because just by even being here and discussing this and thinking about it, things will naturally come up, because that's how reality works. You ever got a car, you never really paid attention to anybody, and then all of a sudden you get the car and now you see everybody with it? That's because your car is now in your reality, and now you can't stop seeing it. So that's kind of how that works. So once something comes into your reality, it'll start to come up for you. So that way you have time to think about it, and the challenge will be a bit more productive for you. And then of course at the end of the 7 days, I'll get you guys' feedback to kind of see. But the idea is to go deep into yourself. So, don't overshare, because it's for you to learn you, and to be comfortable doing so, to be okay with whatever comes up. So day 4 is claiming your personal power. So that's reclaiming your strength, reclaiming your autonomy, and embracing your shadow aspects. So all of the things that came up for you, that you may have thought were bad, or you may have thought was undesirable, or you may not have wanted, fuel those things for your power, because now you understand that it's not good or bad. It just is. Those things are. And what more power do you get than not feeling guilty or shame about who you are? That is power. What are some ways to differentiate feelings versus analyzing emotions to prevent looping into a new ego? What do you differentiate between feelings versus analyzing emotions? What do you mean looping into a new ego? Rephrase the second part, because I don't get how that's like a versus of your differentiate between your feelings versus analyzing your emotions. Um like a karmic loop. This is what I'll say. First, I would say use simpler words, because I don't necessarily believe in karma. So that's why, like, when you say karmic loop, I don't know what you mean by that. So I mean, my guess of karmic loop is you being in a karmic state of basically consequences for something that you're doing. I don't believe in karma like that. I believe in the law of karma in certain things, but I don't believe in operationally. I don't particularly believe in that. So I want to be able to answer your questions based off of like what you mean. And I'm not saying you shouldn't believe in karma, just like what do you mean? What is happening when what triggers a karmic loop for you? Is what I'm trying to say. Like, what triggers a karmic loop, for an example, without, telling too much of your business that you don't want to say. Like, what is a trigger for a karmic loop? Um, oh, you said yes to, do you mean a new identity? I think that once you dismantle and come to terms with who you are, that removes a lot of karmic energy. So that karma, I don't want to say karma is based on you feeling guilty. But that's why I believe everyone should dismantle their belief systems and then custom make everything. That's what I do here. I tailor everything. You know, I take information from other people that I learn and I make it work for me. So I think once you start to deconstruct what you're doing, how you're feeling, who you are, that breaks a loop, or it should, in my opinion, because you are dismantling your character and then building it back together. So then to me, karma would no longer exist in it. Now, again, certain questions I can't really answer without, because it feels like you're talking about something very specific that I wouldn't know. So I can only give you general and don't necessarily share it here. But just kind of so I'm not like talking in circles, you know, kind of let me know what you mean, like specifically the trigger, because I imagine like if you are saying a karmic loop or relating to your feelings and your emotions, you're maybe calling things into your reality that keeps a cycle going. So once you did a cycle itself should start to dismantle once you start to dismantle your character um traits and stuff like that, and come and start to operate and flow with who you are. um go into that, please, because they say I thought karma was just highs and lows. I mean, the law of karma basically is what goes around comes around. Do you believe in soul contracts of reincarnation? Yes, I definitely believe in reincarnation. I definitely believe in soul contracts. But um I just take everything with a grain of salt. And again, I custom build things. Like for an example, I believe in like there is no way I couldn't believe in reincarnation at this point. But also I believe in soul contracts because I believe in terms of, I don't know what other things are subjective. So I don't know what other people mean when they say soul contract, but a soul contract to me is you choosing to come to earth in order to learn something or whatever experience, whether you're on earth or another realm, to learn something. And that I absolutely believe in because I remember remembering at 3 or 4 years old. I remember choosing. So that's why, certain things I believe in. And I believe in karma to a certain degree. I just look at things as you're here to study yourself. So you can break anything. Once you know why it's there and how it got there, you can break anything. Any karmic loop, any cycle you're in, you can break it. Karma was just highs and lows in life. Karma is I believe it's a Hindu concept. But every nation, every ethnicity, we all the same. So we all have versions of what karma means. Karma basically means in America, what goes around comes around. What you put out, you get back. But karma is often also used as a way, it's very passive. People use karma. That's why I refrain from attaching myself to karmic beliefs too much, because people invert karma in order to manipulate people into making people doormats and making people fearful of every little thing. And in terms of like the highs and lows of life, now this is based on what you believe, right? I can only say what I believe. This realm is designed, there is no way in this world currently where you won't experience highs and lows. I think highs and lows is what it is to be human. If you've never been sad, how can you truly experience being happy? How can you really, really indulge in joy if you don't know what it's like to have ever been sad? That's what it is to me to exist as a human. And I refrain from attaching that to karma because a lot of that is fear based. And the universe don't care about, in terms of karma and universal law, the universe does not particularly care about morality, but this world, society, its rulers wrap karma and things like that up into morality as a way to exploit you. Now, that being said, I believe in karma in terms of, I believe whatever you believe is what's true, first of all. But I believe in karma in terms of if you do something that goes against your honor and morality code as a person, yes, it can come back to you if it's meant to. But I don't harp on those things personally too much because it'll ruin my human experience. But that's just personally how I think. Because if we thought these things were bad and that if we did this bad stuff would come back around, I believe in making karma happen for me. I'm not waiting for the universe to do something. You punch me, I'm gonna punch you back. And I might do it 2 or 3 times more so you get the picture. I'm karma. I could do that one day, the next day, I could turn the other cheek. So you get what you get. And it depends on the day. It depends on how full the moon is. It depends on how I'm feeling. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Who gonna show up today? But so I take things with a grain of salt just because I take what works for me and leave what's don't, and not in a manipulative way. So it is us believing it's bad, causing us to receive the bad for certain things. To a point, I do believe that, but because in the sense that you create your reality. And if you think about something over and over and over and over and over and over and over, eventually you're calling that into your reality because again, you manifest mostly through emotions and belief systems. So if you believe it and you believe it and you put energy behind believing it, yes, it is very possible that you'll call it in. So to some degree, yeah. Now, other things like, because you go punch somebody in the face and they punch you back, is that karma? I don't know. Some people view it as karma. Some people would just view it as a reaction. You don't necessarily have to feel bad about having punched them in the face to receive a consequence. So it depends. I think it's personally for me, I think it's about how much energy you put into it. Like how to not create a new identity around the womb from uncomfortable emotions. So, I mean, you shouldn't be, in terms of when you are, it'll get easier the more you do it, but when you are sitting in uncomfortable emotions, you should not be creating a new identity. Also, your identity is created over time. It's not something that happens in one or two sittings. So you should, I mean, to me, you wouldn't be creating a new identity while also around the womb, right? Because if you, as you start to get a process for shadow work and the way you process things, you untether your emotions to them. So it's not creating a wound. You, and therapy helps with this, right? If you are experiencing deep soil trauma, abuse, and things like that, go get a therapist so they can help you do certain things. Because I believe that everyone can fix themselves. I don't particularly believe you have to go to therapy, but I've been to therapy and it was okay, helpful, but it wasn't life changing. I changed my life, but I'm different. I don't know, so it depends. I like to give disclaimers because I don't want to, if you are dealing with severe trauma and severe wounds, you may need other tools to, at least from as a starter, to dismantle those wounds. But I also believe that you can do it yourself. Just learn how to stay planted, learn how to stay grounded, learn how to stop doing shadow work. Take a break. Go outside, go do something fun. Take a break. Nothing should be all consuming so that you balance out your energy. But ideally, when you create a new identity, it's once you've dismantled a good chunk of things. Now, things change. Your identity over time will change as well. You might not identify with who you are now 3 years from now as much. Fundamentally, we all pretty much, are the same. But your goals change, your desires change, your life change. And so I think when you are beginning to start shadow work, you shouldn't be creating an identity to prevent yourself from identifying with a wound, because your wounds create trauma. Trauma creates emotions. Emotions create, a certain way you operate and see in the world. As you do shadow work and you start dismantling those things, it starts to change your perception. It starts to change who you are. It starts to remove you from trauma. So you should no longer be creating an identity around the wound. So like I saw like people, when I come across videos, and again, put an asterisk beside this, when people create platforms based off of their trauma, I don't think that's healthy. Now, unless they are balancing it, right? I can't tell them what is and what's not healthy for their life. If they are helping other people get across it, then great. But what is happening to you in your personal life? Are you regurgitating your trauma? It's not to say to get over it. It's to say learn how to flow through it until it either is not a priority, or you can at least remove your emotional wounds, your emotional triggers from it. And even if your emotional triggers are there and they come back, you have a process to deal with it. You have a process to navigate it. That's what's most important. Your process is most important. There will not come a time in life where you will be fixed, because you're not broken. People do things to you that alter who you are. This is you putting yourself back together in your own likeness. Like looking for meaning too early before the emotion, like looking for meaning too early before the emotion has fully moved. That's going to happen. I don't think it's anything wrong with that, because that is part of the process of you dissecting your emotions. of you dissecting what's happening to you, the emotion that you're sitting in. I look for meaning in things all the time. And then sometimes he'd be like, girl, that don't mean nothing. Or maybe I don't think it mean anything now. And then a year from now, it does mean something. So that's normal. To me, there's nothing wrong with that. That's honesty. That's digging in the dirt. That is what it looks like to do shadow work, is looking for meaning, looking for understanding. If you find right now that you don't have anything, if nothing is coming up, it's in your Rolodex. Maybe it'll come up later. Maybe it won't. That's how you'll know if it has meaning or not. Every emotion has meaning. Even if it's seemingly meaningless, it just doesn't have to be anything serious or anything deep worth putting a lot of energy in at the time. You are an intelligent being. Your body is an intelligent being. You are a part of the universe. When it is time for you, something to mean something to you, it will. And again, if you find yourself in a space where you are looking for meaning to the point where it becomes exhausting, stop. Stop. Go take a break. Because sometimes that is a thing. And when I was in the bowels of shadow work, I would often get to a point. And the funniest thing is sometimes you don't realize it. You don't ever realize it at first until it start impacting you. Like, oh, let me go ahead and kind of step back a little bit and let me be normal for a moment. Let me go outside and enjoy myself. Let me go do something fun. Let me chit chat with one of my friends. Let me stop looking for meaning into something today. Let me get a break this week. And then when you're ready, you'll naturally go back to it. You'll see a video that prompts you about it. You'll hear something. And then that'll be your trigger to go back to it. A lifetime of conditioning, a lifetime of programming, a lifetime of trauma, you don't undo it in a couple of months. But you start creating tools and processes and systems to where when things come up for you, you know how to navigate it. You know how to get through. You have a process of what is happening. And then as you start doing it, you learn yourself. Right? You learn when, okay, this keep coming up for me. This keep coming up for me. Why is it coming up for me? You don't always get answers immediately, but acknowledge it. Because when it's time, the universe will bring answers to you when it's time. Sometimes our timelines get all messed up, or sometimes it's simply not meant for us to dive into something at the moment. But when it is time, if you trust the universe, if you trust yourself and your connection to the universe, when you need to know, you'll know. It'll come back up when you are in a space where you can absorb it. Okay, so did we talk about claiming personal power, reclaiming your strength? I talked about it a little bit, is using these things to start to empower yourself. See, like she had said, like, looking for meaning and emotions, that the ability to do that and then govern yourself, right? Know when you are doing too much and when you're not doing enough and when you should go back to looking for meaning. That is the entryway to power. That is the entryway to autonomy, and autonomy is power, because that is how you learn yourself. That is how you learn how you tick. And you'll find out very quickly when you start to learn yourself, you build trust, you build intuition, you get so comfortable with yourself. That's when you start to feel personally powerful, right? And you start getting comfortable claiming that. I know myself. I know what's happening. And when I don't know what's happening, I will find out. I will know what's happening. And you learn to transmute those things. So as you start to journey through yourself like this, you will naturally start to invoke personal power. And I get it. Like, it's hard to even explain it. You have to experience it. And then you realize, you start to see other people. Try not to judge, but you realize how few people really do this, because it takes a lot of work. But it gets easier. It gets easier, at least for me. It gets easier, it gets faster. But then there's always stuff that may take, you don't get answers for immediately. Some stuff you get answers for immediately. You get answers for immediately. Some stuff you don't. Just do it. That's what I say. Just do it. And then if you start to feel like it's overwhelming or too much, that's your cue to step back. And then you see something that may trigger you back into it, that make you want to do it, you jump back in, hit the ground running. And start embracing all of those things. Embrace the confusion. Embrace the depression even. Embrace the anger. Because guess who not confused? Guess who not angry? Guess who not depressed? Guess who not anything, right? Guess who is not feeling the emotions of things that they hid? People that don't think. People that don't know themselves. People that don't do this kind of work. People that are operating off of programming. People that are doing what they are told. Okay? That alone will invoke a level of power. Listen, all of those things, in order to have clarity, at some point you have to be confused. Because it's that point where that confusion, you get that answer, that you realize how powerful you are. And then that give you fuel to do more and do more. Like, dang, that worked. And you start to have less attachments to other people's opinions, to other people's feelings, and you start getting extremely comfortable and confident in your own abilities. And guess what? You might make mistakes. You might do something. It's a lesson in every mistake. Just when you think, I shouldn't have did that, I knew better, I bet you find a lesson in it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. Now that don't mean go do stupid things just because you can, but if you do stupid things, do it calculated. Do it safe. Because that alone is powerful. As long as you're not operating, sleeping at the wheel, listen, do what you got to do. So that was day 4. Day 5 is transforming darkness into strength. So this is at the point where you really start to transmute those things. You use those things to fuel that new identity, to fuel the new you, to transform into another person. Because as you start to do this sort of work, as you start to get past the cloudiness of confusion, of anger, of shame, of guilt, and then the joy of clarity, even if that clarity is dark, even if that clarity is uncomfortable, there is a power that you cannot explain. You can only exist in, that comes with that. And that is transmutation. That is when you start transforming that darkness into strength. And as you see yourself in the dark, as you start to see in the dark, as you start to travel through your own darkness, you quickly realize you're in tune with everybody else's. So this is why oftentimes in my content, I always say, and people get so upset, that all of us are willing participants, that we all have an answer. that we all know the truth and we lie to ourselves. Because when you see in the dark, you see everything and you see the truth and you don't ignore it. You can't if you wanted to. So when you start to transform your darkness into strength, that is the point of alchemy. Magic. Turning it into wisdom. Wisdom that you share. Wisdom that you obtain and you build a new foundation off of. Resilience. The more you learn, the more you create a habit of doing this, the more you create a habit of diving deep into yourself, you become a whole new person unapologetically. You have no choice but to be powerful. You have no choice but to operate in power, to be resilient, to do what you want to do, right? Like, that is when you start to transmute and alchemize everything. And then you start to see how you move in the world, see how you now process things differently, how you look at the world differently. And nobody can really explain. This is something you have to experience. I can tell you, but you won't quite know until you feel it. And then day 6 is preparing for initiation. So that's building anticipation for deeper work and to set intentions for your ongoing journey. This is beginner shadow work. This is beginning to descend into the shadow. So on day 6, then you start to, once you learn to transmute, you start to build process, you start to build systems that will carry you for the rest of your life. As time go on, you adjust those systems. As time go on, you adjust the way you operate. You adjust based off new information. You will never stop learning. Life is a journey. Somebody mentioned the highs and lows. That is what it is to exist in humanity. You will learn that the more powerful you become, you look different. You feel different. People engage with you differently. This can look good. This can be good or bad, right? It's hard. The more I came into my power, the more I leaned into my intuitive abilities, I lost people that I had my entire life. I lost people that the most important people to me, because I had a light. I didn't want to have a light. I just want to exist and be me and do what I want to do, and I don't want to hear no lip about it. That alone is a light I've come to realize. And that makes people uncomfortable. People who don't stand in their power, people who don't live life on their own terms, people who just are operating off of conditioning, who are asleep at the wheel, that shit will make them mad. You just existing. I'm talking best friend of 20 years. Gone. I'm talking family. People I've never not known in my life. Like, gone. Because they can't stand being around you. This shit is not easy. And I don't want to ever give the impression that it is easy, but it is worth it. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Because I would rather be powerful than to be status quo. My friends left within the last couple of years. Yep. And I was the type of person who I let my door was a revolving door, especially, of course, if nothing drastic happened, right? My friends would get mad at whatever. Mind you, I'm not doing anything. Get mad. You want to leave? Okay, leave. When you're ready, the door is open. That was me. until I came into a level of power in myself that I had never experienced before. And that was part of that was me seeing myself as other people saw me, the shit that they didn't like. Having to admit that I am powerful, that I am me just existing, choosing to live how I want is something that people don't understand and they don't like because it makes them feel small. So I closed the door. I stopped letting the swinging door. I put bolts on a once swinging door. So it's not easy. But to me, it's worth it. You'll know if it's not worth it. Because if it's not worth it, you're going to stop. If you do it, listen, nobody, rarely, if ever, would I imagine someone who truly embrace this work and do this work regret it. Who unplugs from the matrix and plug themselves back up? Nobody. Because once you see, you can't unsee. So preparing for initiation is how you can start implementing the things that you learn into everyday life, how you can start navigating relationships, navigating friendships, navigating relationships with your coworkers, relationships with your partners, relationships with your children. You will find these things operational in every aspect of you existing. And you use those to transform your life. No matter what that is, no matter what your struggles are. And you learn to start to enjoy the journey. Even if you feel like you're not failing, you're failing. You never stop learning. You never stop growing. Never. It's crazy you're saying all of this because I feel like this is a sign. Good. That's because it is. Love that. That's because it is. It's no, so I don't believe in coincidences. I absolutely agree with you. Teamwork Canada. Yes, period. Yeah, people will get up and go, honey. Best friend, 20 years. I didn't do anything. Couldn't stand the sight of me just existing. I don't take it personally because this journey also allows you to see things in totality. It almost, for me, removes a level of my humanity because when you understand certain things, you remove emotional attachment to it. Now, that don't mean I'm going to let somebody back in my life who don't deserve. I will decide. I will make the hard choices. But when you understand at higher levels, dark goddess levels, I just refer, I'm of the darker shadow, I'm a shadow girly. So I refer to it goddess. You can simply say goddess. But when you are operating at a higher frequency than the average person, people feel that even when you don't know you're doing it, when you're not really doing anything. I cut people off. There is no exceptions. Yep. Now I only have one friend. She's older than me, but she's great. They dwindle. They dwindle. I've been crying so much and having all the feelings, and that's after living alone for a week. Have you never lived alone before? Listen, living alone definitely helps, but you can do it in any capacity. Living alone helps if you don't like expressing emotions in front of people. But yeah, listen, being alone and living alone, people distract themselves with relationships, with cohabitation. You listen, when you at home by yourself and you're not consuming yourself with a lot of this and a lot of that, shit comes up. You process a lot more, you think a lot more because you just simply don't have the distractions. Listen, crying is good. I be in here crying, I be in here dancing, I be in here doing everything. And I love people that can do that in front of people. Um, this is my first time living alone. 2, 3. Oh, you only 3 days into living a period. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love that for y'all. I couldn't wait to live by myself, and it was everything that I thought it was. But for some people, it may take an adjustment. But yeah, living alone is next level. Next level intimacy with yourself, especially if you do it with that intention. Yeah. No, I have when I was in my okay. When you was in your 20s, I lost my 24. I have to live with my mom. Listen, I live with people just because I can. I live with my sister. I live with my friend. I live by myself. I went through when I traveled a lot and I lived with my friend because we were going to travel the world. I got a little used to not being in the house by myself. So I just started living by myself this year. And it had been maybe 3 years since I lived by myself. So I love it. I still love it. Um, but yeah, I'm alone and happy. I wasn't ready to leave yet. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I wasn't ready to leave my sister's house, but I had to. Um, um, I realized I was scared of falling again. Listen, at least you got somebody that can help catch you. But yeah, that's understandable for sure. It took me a while to get happy alone, powered through. Yeah, that's natural. That's natural, especially if you like being around people you like. Because I lived alone for a long time. I hate when I couldn't afford to live alone years and years ago. When I couldn't afford to live alone, I couldn't wait till lived alone. So when I finally lived alone, I loved it. Never wanted to live with anybody else ever again. And then I ended up moving in with my friend because we were going to travel around the world to finish out her lease. And then when her lease is over, we left. And I had gotten used to people being around. So you go through phases, it changed. I might live with somebody else again. Me and my friends go buy a house or something like that. So, but a lot of people shy away from living alone because there are no distractions when it's just you and you alone. Of course, you can be on your phone all day, you can be watching TV, you can be doing this and that, but that's still not the same. People do that with people there. Like, it builds a lot of intimacy with yourself. And I like that. But, um I love it so much so far. I've always wanted this low key. Listen, I wanted it high key real bad. I was dreaming of living by myself since I was a little girl. I couldn't wait. Couldn't wait. So I stopped being, sad that I didn't have a relationship when I realized what I really wanted was just to be free, to live by myself, to go do the things that I want, to travel, to go and come as I please. And I was like, damn, that's what I really wanted. I didn't want the things that, so I was just scared of my power. It's scary. Sometimes I'm scared of my own power right now. I even now I bite my tongue now, you know, but I'm patient with myself. Again, Rome wasn't built in a day. Power is scary because being autonomous is scary because you learn it start to expose everything. But we're human, we're animals, we're pack animals, we're conditioned to, and although I believe we are supposed to be in community, it's a little inverted in this realm we live in. So we're conditioned out of our power, so it is absolutely natural that we're scared of our power. Like, right, we're scared because to operate in your power means to operate outside of social norms. Don't speak your mind. Don't do what we're conditioned to do the opposite of who we naturally are. So doing the opposite alone, because you experience tribal shame when you do that. People don't want to be around you. People want to be around a version of you that benefits them. So when you start, that is scary. As much as I, talk on this app and stuff, there's, I don't want people that I know in real life necessarily. Now, I don't care. It's not going to stop me because I believe this is my purpose. But it's scary. The idea of people seeing you, who you are. And this is coming from somebody who never really cared about what people think. I've never operated as a person who cared what people think because I didn't. But there is a part of me that was nervous about people truly knowing who I am, because that's a protection mechanism. It's a defense mechanism. Operating in your power is scary because you lose people. Who want to lose people you thought you would have in your life, your entire life? It's not easy. When people talk about it like it's a joke, people talk about it like it's, oh, let's do shadow work. So this shit will ruin your life as you know it, in terms of it will make it better if you know, but this will turn your life inside out. Undoing every conditioning. We are conditioned for a purpose, to be exploited, to minimize ourselves. You undoing that makes you stand out. It makes you different in a way that a lot of people are uncomfortable with, and in a way that a lot of people will be inspired by. So literally watching your content showed me I was just afraid. I'm glad you guys listen. I love to hear, no matter what it is, that you got something out of it, because that's what it's supposed to do, is bring stuff up. Fear is one of the greatest tactics in this realm. So it's a very potent energy. So ideally, fear, listen, that don't ever really go away. But that's the point of what we do for shadow work, is to create process and systems. Right? Like dissecting your conditioning, that never stops. I'm doing that right now for things that I want to do. I have to constantly undo beliefs, replace the voice in my head that's saying, you're going to fall on your face. Just like you were saying earlier, that's not going to work. How are you going to do that? Replace it with something else. The universe bend to my will. It's going to happen because I'm going to make it happen. It's going to happen because I don't have a choice. If I keep going, if I do the work, the universe have no choice but to align me with what my desires are. So I have to, we have to replace. That is that programming in your head. And we have to learn to replace it with thoughts that benefit us. And this world is operated off of fear for that reason. Yeah. It want us to be afraid. It want us to be fearful, but we will courage. Courage is going to be your best friend. Do something that you wanted to do that you think is hard. Listen, I'm building up courage to do stuff myself. When I decided to quit my job, my career I had for 10 years to travel the world, that took courage. I'm a Virgo. I grew up in a very stable home. A stable home, the security that a Virgo requires, that's a recipe for stagnation, hell. So to uproot, I've been told, you get a job, you stay at your job forever, you work hard, you climb the ladder. To quit a job that I had, a good job, a good paying job that I had for a decade, to go travel the world, take courage. It took me years. It took me 4 years to build up the courage to do that. and it altered my brain chemistry. And now I have to build up the courage to go to the next step. But once you start doing it, it gets easier to do. Because what I want to do now, I would never have been able to done if I didn't do the first courageous act. So start replacing courage with fear with courage, with affirmations of courage, the gall, the audacity, the will to do it anyway. Baby, I'm so happy to be living by myself. Listen, hello. I got too old to be with my family 24/7. Yep. Because family will keep you in a place in their mind that is not beneficial for you, which will impact your reality. Um, Living in college alone has really led to so much introspection. Yep, that was the first time I lived alone, was in college. When I finally moved into an individual dorm, into an upperclassman dorm, that's when I knew every living by myself was everything I knew it was going to be. Um, Thoughts on doing shadow work while on. I hesitate to tell you that. I don't wanna, I'll just say this. Just be exist in the experience. Um, Were you here last time when I said that I set an intention based for fear when I was on the medicine? Um, sometimes it take you where it wanna go. So I would not necessarily. I don't know. I don't know. Have you done it before? Well, in the particular time where I set an intention to, because I knew fear was a big thing for me, and I set an intention to dive into into the depths of myself. Um, because I said it really didn't. I kind of sort of ushered it in, but I really wasn't focusing on it. Only a little bit. I recall focusing on it when I was tripping. Um, but nothing happened. The real work didn't start till like a year later. And it always take a little while for you to realize what's happening. So I would say, set your intentions prior. Then when you take it, I was writing, I don't know if I did that for the fear, the time I did it for specifically for fear, but I do remember just, thinking about, I don't want you to you know, do that with a guide or something like that, unless you're familiar with it, because you want to keep your energy clean so you don't have a bad trip. um I've never had a bad trip, but then I know me, so I would just say, set your intentions at the beginning, but then also go in it light and airy, like whatever happens, because I don't want you to do like, and shadow work isn't necessary. It is going into the darkness, but you know, let it do what it's supposed to do. That's a nature's medicine. It's portals you into a whole other dimension that you can't always control it. So set your intentions for what you want to do. If you can focus on it. If you can focus on it. Because I was able to focus for a little while on that, and then I floated away. Um oh, did I, oh shit, did I invite somebody here? Because no. Oh, I pressed something. Okay. Um, I thought you were Pisces. No, I'm not a Pisces. Be courageous with whilst crying. Exactly. Cry and do it anyway. Cry and do it anyway. Um, be scared and do it anyway. Listen, I'm gonna have to throw these words back in my face soon. I just quit my good paying job in November and it definitely rewires your brain. It does. You see how, and then it's trippy because it shows you just how much we're programmed and how one little thing, you seen the movie Everything Everywhere All over, one little thing can completely like shake it up because you have to veer off course. So like the girl the was talking about karmic loop earlier, like if you believe in karmic loop and stuff like that, you have to veer off course. Dismantling your belief system, dismantling your triggers and your wounds and your emotions around it is you veering off course. So that's how you break any loop. You have to have a powerful force to do it. I have Last Christmas on New Year's. Made me extremely antisocial and introverted. What do you mean moving? Did you say living by yourself? Yes, I experienced last year, and it's now showing me that I have to make a life-changing decision. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now I guess you got to work on finding the courage to do it. Because that's when the real work is done. It will absolutely help you show what needs to help you, help show you what needs to be done. And you just got to work on doing it. Hey girl, my BFF is online begging for her man to propose. What can I say to her? Congratulations. Let her beg that man. Let her beg that man. Okay? Let her do whatever she want to do. That's what you do. Or nothing. If somebody is begging, I don't know if this person is trolling because it don't have nothing to do with what we're talking about. But if your BFF is online begging her man to propose, she's lost in the sauce. Let her stew in the sauce. None of the magic made me really be obsessed with being myself. Good. Because it made me realize that the stuff that we worried about, we don't need to be worried about. And it's so much more that exists than what we were saying. But I would limit it. Don't abuse it. Okay? Don't abuse it. But you said you did it last year, the person, so I ain't worried about that. But and ready to go no contact with my male-centered mother. That's gonna be a rough one. Yeah, the mamas is always hard. What is it that your friends think you're doing to separate from you? Is that to me or are you asking that to somebody else? What is it that you think your friends think you're doing to separate from you? Was that for me or were you talking to somebody in the comments? Oh, you just joined the live. You just join people's lives and ask them random questions. But that's my answer nonetheless. Let her propose, beg, let her keep begging. Oh, to me, you said what is that your friends think you're doing to separate from you? I don't know if it's that they think that I'm doing something, but she was basically like, we live two different lives. And I noticed when I did leave and travel the world, she would never engage with my posts. She would never like anything. She would never. We have very different lifestyles, and sometimes people can. I hate that fucking word, jealous. I hate that word, but she didn't like it, was making her very uncomfortable, our extremely different lifestyles. I don't live a life of struggle. And so nobody who is struggling every day want to be around somebody who is just who they see as running through fields of lilies all day every day. Nobody who's starving on the street want to watch somebody eat a steak and potato meal in front of their face. Now, she don't know what my life really looks like, right? She don't know the tears that I cry. She don't know the things that I deal with, because people go off their perception. To her, I'm running through a field of lilies every day. Life is sweet all the time. She don't know the work it took, to the courage, the fucking shadow work I had to do, the dismantling, the tears I cried to have to build up the courage to quit my job to travel the world. They don't see that. They only see the results of the hard work that you do, and it makes them feel some type of way. So I didn't do anything, and she said that I didn't do anything. And I respect her boundaries. And I don't want someone feeling bad around me. I want to be an asset to the people that I'm around. If I'm not an asset, get rid of me. I will gladly go. I've lost many friends trying to get them to see they can do better. I used to do that too, and then I stopped. You seem wise. Well, thank you, darling. Thank you, darling. I hate to toot my own horn, but I do believe that I'm wise, and I do believe you should just let your friend beg for a proposal from that man. You know, the shadow part of me actually like that it's so many women that's lost, because while a lot of other women are still chasing behind men, the rest of us who are not, they are a distraction for the rest of us to get free. If all women start waking up today, this shit would go and turn inside out. So I'm grateful for the service that women are doing who are still caught up in the matrix of men begging for proposals and such. Be grateful. She's doing you a service. Let her keep doing it. That's the shadow, right? That's the shadow side of me. Would I like for women, this shit to get together? Sure. But I also understand the benefit to me. While they're distracting men. They taking the violence and the blows and the disrespect, so I don't have to. So thank you for your service. I just tried telling her already, and IDK if I'm just phrasing it wrong, because she not gonna listen. That's the moral of the story. She not gonna listen. Save your breath. Worry about yourself. Worry about how you can get yourself to your next level. Let her do whatever she want to do. You might be young. When we young, we think we can save everybody. We want to try to save our friends. We want to try to intervene. You grow out of that. Hopefully you grow out of it sooner or later. I also hate the word jealous because I don't want to put that on. Yep, or be egotistical. But yeah. It's hard to admit, because to a lot of us, to me, I'm a humble person. Like, for the most part. So I don't like to get jealous. I don't have anything to be jealous of, but apparently I do. You know, I see myself as not doing enough. I see all of the things that I want to do. So sometimes I have to give myself credit for where I am, for the manifestations that I've already called into my reality, rather than worrying about the things that I want. It's always going to be another goal. So, you know, sometimes that's what it is. Do you think it would be fun to have a daughter to teach this to? I would never bring I love my daughter too much to bring them here. But do I think it would be fun to have a daughter? Absolutely. I just love my children far too much to expose them to this lackluster world. So I would never do it, but I think it would be fun just having a daughter in general. When I did want kids, I wanted all girls. I started off wanting 3 girls, then I wanted 1. And now I don't want any. My girls are too good for this place. David Vanilla. Okay. We're over your friend. We're not talking about your friend no more. Your friend is lost in the sauce, baby. We over her. I don't think it would be worth teaching my daughter this. Like, why would I have a child to have to then teach them how to operate opposite of the world? This shit is not easy. I don't think that, like, why would I do that to somebody? So that's how I think, legit. I stopped trying to get women to understand. Yeah. That's classic. That's classic. Like, every woman in the world just about deal with stuff like that. So it's like that you'll learn, they'll learn. Sometimes the people who are you're the smarter friend. Sometimes you want to save people, you have to grow out of wanting to save people, and that's going to be a journey for you. What did I just press? I stay pressing something. I don't date or plan to have kids because I'm too self-indulgent. Good. Stay self-indulgent. I'm 20 and I learned that really quick. Don't try to force anyone. Good, because I didn't know that at 20. Don't try to force any woman to get a better self. Yep, I'm glad I didn't know that at 20. So you ahead of the game. I definitely grew out of it. I'm 25 and finally got the confidence to stand up for my family. Good. It took me longer than 25 to stand up to my family. But guess what? I arrived when I was supposed to arrive. So I'm proud of y'all because y'all getting it early. It'll save you a lot of trouble. Something that clicked for me recently was that if women had power, we wouldn't really have to teach. That's why I try to, while teaching and guiding, I try to teach people how to think for yourself, right? I try to frame my words and what I say in a way where you learn to process, because that's how you create power. You can't expect people to hold your hand. So, and also I'm very impatient. So I try to teach people how to think. I try to teach people how to process, because when you can do that, you won't need anyone to hold your hand, because you have to understand we are all individuals. We are all within one reality, but we are all in our own realities. There is only so much I can tell you about yourself, right? You can ask me a question, but if I don't know the detail, even if I knew all the details, I'm not in your head. I only know what you told me. So a better use of my energy, rather than telling you what to do, is telling you how to create a process, telling you how to think, telling you how to learn how you see the world and change it if you need to. When you can do that, you can navigate any situation. What's that saying? You teach a man how to fish, he'll eat. I mean, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for life. That I can tell, you can tell your friend to stop begging that man to propose. She not gonna listen, because what people do who ask for advice is they're gonna keep asking for advice, because they're gonna keep waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. What you need to be doing is learning how to work through your own issues. If you can learn how to have a process, and then you use other people, you use guides. I've paid mentors, I pay for courses, I pay because for certain things that I know I had to work on. You pay people for help, but you understand that it is to help you create your own process, your own system, not to use somebody else's system. You chew the meat and spit out the bones. You take what you can use, you create your own system, and you keep it pushing. That's custom tailored made for you because you know it's going to work for you. And then when you do that, you won't worry about explaining, because how are you going to explain to somebody your custom morality, your custom process? They will never understand. So yeah, we wouldn't have to, you're going to always need teachers. We always, need guidelines, a little nudge into a direction, right? But you won't need to be spoon fed every little thing. Let me hurry up for my phone die. Let me read the last of these comments. And then, my phone froze. Did I freeze, y'all? My iPhone be getting ghetto. Um, I just can't imagine waking up throughout the night to rock a baby or keep watch of it. Nope, ain't gonna do it. Um, hold on. Let me plug my phone up for this phone die. But I'm about to get out of here anyway. But I'm about to get out of here anyway. I'm about to get out of here anyway. But yeah, let me read the last of y'all's questions, and then I'm gonna hit the last day, day 7, and I'm gonna get out of here. Got to flip a table. Listen, flip a table, flip that table. Do what you gotta do. Oh yeah, it did freeze. Yeah, my phone froze. I had to hit the button. It just froze. But yeah, okay, so let me do the last one and then I'm gonna get out of here. My phone dying. Y'all know how funny iPhones be acting. So the last day is day 7. So it'll end on a Saturday. I forget what it starts on January 4th, so whatever, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Um So day 7 is integration and commitment. So that is bringing together your insights and commit to continue growth and self-acceptance, because this will be a process that will continue for the rest of your life. New stuff will come up. You will learn new things. You'll grow, and you have to commit to the process, because what some people will do, they'll get to a certain point. It'll get scary. That fear starts setting in. They'll start seeing reactions from people in the outside world and then stop. Listen, if it's meant for you to stop, you'll stop. And I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't. But keep going. Because at some point, you won't stop anyway. Because one thing about learning is you can't unlearn. Once you know something, you can't unknow. Yeah, this phone be just freezing for no reason. But yeah, so, and that is integration and commitment. So that means integrating the things that you learn, integrating your shadow, integrating all of the aspects of you, your power, transmuting and transforming on a daily basis. You integrate it into every aspect of your life. Life will test you. The universe will test you, and it'll show you what you're made of. It'll show you how and if you are really putting this work to use. I see it all the time. Sometimes we just need catalysts. Exactly. So sometimes, things will happen. And it'll test that work that and when you pass that test, or even if you say, I could have handled that better, that's insight. And insight is foresight. And foresight is seeing into the future and prediction. So no matter what, that's transmutation. Whether you think you did something right, whether you think you did something wrong, whether you think you did something good, whether you think you did something bad, you can always transmute it. That's power. That's sovereignty. And that is what happens when you descend into the darkness. That's what happens. So I'm about to get out of here, y'all. I'll also be starting a podcast so that my content becomes a little bit more formal and more concentrated. So that'll be at some point in 2026. So I'm going to be looking out for people to maybe collab with and stuff like that. But I'm going to be dropping a podcast soon. So I'm excited. It's a lot of work to do. I'm a little ADHD, so I'm all over the place. But it's going to be an interesting year. Because consciousness is shifting. I'm so happy. This shit going to get ugly. And I am so happy. Because that's what needs to happen when it's time for transformation. And that's what's happening. This shit is patriarchy is being turned inside out. The world is being turned inside out. And I am so excited. I've been waiting for this shit since I was a little girl. And I will do everything I can to usher this in. And I love that there's so many other women doing this. And 20-year-olds in here. When a lot of us was 20, millennials were 20, we didn't have any of this. So, we had our aunts, we had a little word of mouth. But this is what ushers, the very tools that they use to try to manipulate us is the same things that free us. So, www.darkacademia.com. The link is in my bio. So you will see 7-day challenge. It'll take you right to it. You can go ahead and sign up. And then that way you have a few weeks to start letting things come up for you. So by the time you start getting, it's easy. It's not too intense, but it's you'll be able to have things already in your conscious that you want to kind of work on and jot down. Have your journals ready. So yeah. How long have you been on this journey? I would say intently, probably since maybe 2016. So almost 10 years when things started to change for me mentally. But in terms of deep personal introspection, 2021. I started dismantling everything in 2016, but 2021 was when I really started doing hardcore shadow work. So yeah. Well, I thank y'all so much for tuning in. I can't wait to start this. I'll probably do maybe one more live about it before then. But I'll, make videos and stuff about that. So I'm so excited to drop this so I can kind of see if my methods work for other people. And so I'm so excited about this, and I'm so excited that people have signed up. Quite a few people have signed up already, and we're gonna We're going to get this done. Okay. So y'all have a good rest of your night. Thank y'all for showing up. This was an exciting thing. You are welcome, my darling. Thank you for showing up. Listen, we here to transform. Okay. Let me go before my phone dies. Bye, y'all.